Hey, good morning, everyone. Hope you're staying safe and warm today. Unfortunately, due to the icy conditions, we decided to cancel all of our services for today. That includes our PM services for January 9th. I just want to take a moment, though, and share some scripture with you. This was going to be different than what my sermon was going to be about, as we were going to continue in our study in the book of Romans, and we'll pick up with that next week. Just a couple quick announcements, though. Just want to encourage you and remind you that Mission Imperative is going to be a part of our church service on January 23rd, but our time with them is going to begin on Saturday, January 22nd. At 4 p.m., Mike Snavely will be leading his opening session, sharing about the ministry of Mission Imperative and really helping us to understand how God works through his creation to reveal himself, and how the scriptures give us a wonderful backdrop to understand how the world has been made. And so Saturday at 4 p.m. we'll begin with Mike Snavely. There will be a dinner at 5:30 in our fellowship hall, and then he will conclude on Saturday evening at 7 o'clock with a final session. On Sunday morning, January 23rd, during our morning worship service, Mike will pick up again and share his next session with us. It'll be a longer worship service. We are not going to have our children's church for kindergarten through third grade and on up. Everyone will be in the worship service, and there will be no 11 o'clock ministry. And so we'll have a longer service. Mike will be sharing as we gather for our gathered worship. And then Sunday evening at 6:30 p.m., Mike will conclude with his final session. And so we want to encourage you, encourage your families, encourage your neighbors, friends, to come out and join us. We're looking forward to this weekend. Mike has spent a lot of time studying and watching God's creation, and has led a lot of groups of people. And we just trust that our time will be beneficial to us as God encourages us through his word, and also through the masterpiece of his creation. So what I wanted to share just for the next few moments is just a thought that I picked up in a devotional that I started this year, New Morning Mercies by Paul David Tripp. A great devotional. I encourage you to pick that up for yourself, and whether you just start right now, there's a devotional for every day of the year, or maybe for next year. I know it's a long way away, but I've been richly blessed by some of the things that I've already interacted with in his devotional. But he shared a thought that I don't know if I'm always aware of, and it comes from Daniel chapter 2. In Daniel chapter 2, verse 22, we read this, and let me just back up, because in Daniel 2, Daniel is in the process of interpreting some dreams that King Nebuchadnezzar had. And this is what Daniel says as he is kind of thinking through all of the visions that Nebuchadnezzar had, and Daniel confronts the king, and this is what he says: "Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, to whom belong wisdom and might. He changes times and seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him. To you, O God of my fathers, I give thanks and praise, for you have given me wisdom and might, and have now made known to me what we asked of you, for you have made known to us the king's matter." And so, just thinking through this, there's this one thought that jumped out to me. In verse 22, we read, "He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness." Now, I don't know about you, but this time of year, right after Christmas, early January into February, and not too far into February because my wife's birthday is in February, but January can seem like the winter blues, the doldrums of winter. It's cold, we can't do a lot outside. There's not a lot going on. The celebrations of Christmas and New Year's have passed, and sometimes I can get into a funk with all of those things. But this verse was just fresh wind into my sails, as I was reminded that even though the circumstances of life may not always be the greatest, and I might wonder and doubt if God is working the way that his word declares. This verse shouts into that, and he says, when Daniel says, he knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him. And that was just such an encouragement to my heart as I considered, the seasons of life, whether it's a winter season or not, that even in those moments where I can't see the next step in front of me, I'm reminded that God is with us and that he knows what is there. His promises to never leave us nor forsake us are just as true in the darkness, or when it seems like it's darkness, as it is in the light. We know that God can see all because, as Daniel says, the light dwells with him. God knows what you're going through, whether it's just been kind of getting through this season and hoping that maybe Christmas and New Year's would kind of help you refocus some things, and maybe you made your way through the first part of January and you're thinking, I don't see any changes. I still feel the same way. I'm not sure what's coming down the road. I hope that you take comfort in knowing that God is with you and that he sees what's going on in your life. And even a day when we're interrupted from church, our gathered worship, and we so look forward to that as the family of God, that God knows, and this isn't a surprise to him, that there's nothing that happens in your life or in his creation that is a surprise to him, and he's with us. The promise of his presence is one of the greatest blessings that we have this side of heaven, that God never leaves us alone, that God will never forsake us, and that God is always working all things together for our good. And so I just wanted to encourage you with that today. I pray it's a blessing to you, and just to remind you again that God knows what is in the darkness of your life, of my life, and of what's going on in this world. And I pray you're blessed with that. So we are sure sad that we can't be together today, but I pray this has been an encouragement to you, and we look forward to seeing you next week. We're excited for what God's doing in our church family. We're just so thankful for you and your faithfulness to the ministry, and we just pray God's blessings in your life.